Brothers and sisters, listen carefully. A trumpet sounds in the distance, a call to awaken from the slumber that grips the hearts of many. The hourglass is almost empty, and the sands of time slip swiftly through our fingers. Rise, rise from the places of complacency, from the shadows of doubt and fear, for the time is short. We live in days marked by signs and portents, days when the foundations of the earth tremble beneath the weight of justice delayed. The ancient prophets foretold a season such as this, a season of reckoning, a season of awakening, and here we stand at the crossroads of destiny. The world around us grows dark with uncertainty. Nations rage, hearts grow cold, and the light that once shone bright flickers in the storm. But do not be afraid, for the darkness is the canvas on which the brightest light will shine. The call to rise is not just for a few. It is for all who hear the cry of the Spirit. Rise, shake off the chains of despair. Cast aside the cloak of apathy. The days grow shorter, and the night grows deeper. There is no time to waste in idle waiting or silent watching. It is time to stand firm, to raise your voice, to act with courage and faith. Remember the ancient words, "Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. The window is closing, the harvest is ripe, but the reaper must come swiftly. Those who heed the call will find strength. Those who delay will face the consequences of lost opportunity." Do not wait for perfect conditions, for the perfect moment. It will not come. The time to rise is now, in the midst of chaos, in the face of trials, in the shadow of uncertainty. Rise as a beacon of hope. Rise as a warrior of light. Rise with the courage of those who know that even the smallest flame can ignite a fire that darkness cannot extinguish. The time is short. The call is clear. Rise, rise with boldness, with purpose, with unwavering faith. The days ahead will test us, but they will also reveal the faithful. Will you rise? Will you answer the call? Or will you remain silent as the hour slips away? The choice is yours. But hear this. History will remember those who rose when the time was short. Rise, for the time is short. The time is short. This truth resonates with a weight that cannot be ignored. Every moment that passes brings us closer to a turning point, a decisive moment in the unfolding story of our lives and the world around us. The sands in the hourglass fall swiftly, and with each grain that slips away, the urgency grows. It is no longer a distant warning or a vague possibility. It is a present reality that demands our attention and action. To delay, to hesitate, to linger in the comfort of routine is to risk missing the very opportunity set before us. The days are fleeting, and the seasons shift faster than we often perceive. What once seemed far off now presses in close, requiring a response that cannot be postponed. There is an urgency that pulses beneath the surface of all things, a divine rhythm that calls for awakening. This urgency is not born of panic, but of clarity and purpose. It calls us to rise above distractions and to focus on what truly matters. The time is short, and the moment to act is now, for the unfolding events will not wait for our readiness or perfect preparation. It is a summons to live with eyes wide open, aware that the hours are precious, and the opportunity to make a difference may not come again. In this brevity of time, every decision takes on greater significance. The choices we make, the words we speak, and the actions we take ripple outward in ways unseen but profound. This urgency calls for a response marked by courage, conviction, and faith, a willingness to step forward despite uncertainty. To recognize that the time is short is to embrace the weight of responsibility laid upon us. It is a call to live intentionally, with a fierce sense of purpose, knowing that the window for impact narrows with each passing day. Complacency and apathy have a way of creeping into the human heart, quietly dulling the senses and dimming the fire within. They settle like a heavy fog, obscuring vision and silencing the urgency that should drive us forward. When the time is short, these attitudes become dangerous. They rob us of the passion and resolve needed to face the challenges before us. To remain complacent is to accept a slow death of purpose, a surrender to the ease of inaction. Apathy, on the other hand, is a hardening of the heart, a refusal to engage with the reality of the moment. Both are enemies to progress and barriers to the fulfillment of destiny. In the face of mounting challenges, it is easy to feel overwhelmed or powerless, which can lead to this paralysis. But the danger lies not in the difficulty of the task, but in the decision to turn away from it. When we allow complacency to settle in, we begin to live as though there is endless time ahead, time to change, time to respond, time to make a difference. This false sense of security lulls us into a dangerous sleep, causing us to miss the urgent call to rise and act. Apathy breeds a coldness that can spread quickly, infecting communities and nations, eroding the bonds that hold us together. The antidote to complacency and apathy is a stirring of the heart, a rekindling of passion and commitment. It is a call to awaken, to shake off the chains of indifference and step boldly into the role we are meant to play. It requires us to confront discomfort, to face uncertainty with resolve, and to choose action over passivity. To cast aside these barriers is to open ourselves to transformation, and to align with a higher purpose that transcends the distractions and excuses of the moment. This awakening is not a gentle nudge, but a powerful summons, a call to live with intentionality and fire. We stand at a crossroads of destiny, a moment in history charged with significance beyond what we often realize. This is not just another point on the calendar or another chapter in a story already told. It is a defining juncture where the path we choose will shape the course of generations to come. The decisions made now carry weight not only for the present but for the future, echoing through time with consequences both seen and unseen. It is a moment where history pauses, waiting for us to act, to step forward, to make a choice that will resonate far beyond our own lives. At this crossroads, the familiar paths that once seemed clear may now appear blurred or fraught with uncertainty. The comfort of old ways is challenged by the pressing demands of the present, and the future beckons with both promise and warning. This tension calls for wisdom, courage, and discernment, a readiness to navigate the unknown with faith and conviction. The crossroads is a place of decision where hesitation can mean missed opportunity, and boldness can open doors to new beginnings. There is a prophetic weight to this moment, a sense that the forces shaping the world are converging with a purpose. History teaches us that such times are rare and precious, moments when the course of events can be altered by the choices of those who rise to meet them. It is a place where destiny is not fixed but flexible, shaped by the hands and hearts of those willing to stand firm and take a stand. This crossroads calls us to awaken from complacency, to see beyond the immediate, and to embrace the responsibility of our role in the unfolding story. Standing here, we must recognize that our actions matter deeply. The path chosen will reflect the values we hold, the faith we carry, and the legacy we wish to leave. It is a call to rise, to choose wisely, and to move forward with purpose. Darkness and uncertainty surround us like a thick, unyielding fog, obscuring the way forward and casting shadows over the hopes we once held. It feels as though the very ground beneath us shakes with instability, and the familiar landmarks of truth and security grow faint and distant. In these times, fear can easily take root, spreading through hearts and minds, whispering that all is lost, that hope is futile. Yet, even in the deepest shadows there exists a light that refuses to be extinguished, This light is the promise of renewal, the spark of faith that burns quietly but persistently within those who dare to believe. Though the night seems long and the darkness dense, it is precisely in these moments that light shines most brilliantly. Darkness is never the final word. It is merely the stage upon which the brightest light is revealed. The uncertainty we face challenges us to hold fast to what is true, to anchor ourselves in faith and purpose even when the path is unclear. It is a test of endurance and conviction, a call to press forward despite the fears and doubts that try to paralyze us. This light is not merely a distant hope, but a present reality that breaks through the gloom. It calls us to rise above the despair and confusion that threaten to consume us. It reminds us that even when the world seems broken and the future uncertain, there is a source of power and peace that transcends all circumstances. The light beckons those who are willing to stand firm, to become beacons themselves, shining hope into the darkness around them. In this time of uncertainty, the choice before us is clear: to succumb to the overwhelming shadows or to embrace the light that calls us onward. It is a call to courage, to unwavering faith, and to the steadfast belief that light will ultimately triumph over darkness. The call to rise is not limited to a select few. It is a summons extended to all who hear the stirring within their souls. It is a universal invitation that crosses boundaries of age, race, background, and circumstance. Whether you feel small or insignificant, overwhelmed or unprepared, the call comes nonetheless. It reaches into the depths of every heart willing to listen, demanding an answer. This call transcends human limitations and reminds us that each person carries within them a divine purpose, an essential part to play in the unfolding of a greater plan. Too often, people wait for others to move first, assuming that someone else will answer the call, that the burden is not theirs alone to bear. But the truth is that the call to rise is personal and immediate. It cannot be deferred or passed on. Every individual who hears it is being entrusted with responsibility, to stand in the gap, to be a voice in the wilderness, to shine a light in the darkness. This call comes with an expectation that we will respond not with hesitation or fear, but with courage and commitment. There is power in rising together, yet the journey always begins with a single step taken by a willing heart. No matter how great the challenges, the call to rise reminds us that our actions matter. It does not matter how small or large our role may seem. What matters is that we refuse to remain silent or inactive. Each response to the call contributes to a wave of change that can sweep across communities, nations, and even the world. The call to rise breaks through doubt and discouragement, piercing through the noise of distraction and complacency. It calls us to awaken to the reality that the moment is urgent and that our participation is necessary. To hear this call is to know that we have been chosen for such a time as this, and to rise is to answer the sacred invitation placed before us. Waiting for perfect conditions is a trap that many fall into, a subtle form of procrastination disguised as prudence. We tell ourselves that the moment is not right, that more preparation is needed, that the circumstances must align perfectly before we can act. But the truth is, perfect conditions rarely come. Life is messy, unpredictable, and often filled with obstacles that seem insurmountable. To wait for an ideal moment is to risk missing the very opportunity that could change everything. The call to rise demands that we step forward despite uncertainty, not because all is clear, but because the urgency of the moment overrides our desire for comfort and certainty. In the tension between readiness and necessity, it is necessity that must prevail. Great movements throughout history did not begin in perfect environments or under flawless circumstances. They began when ordinary people chose to act in faith, courage, and conviction, choosing to move forward in spite of doubt and fear. Waiting for the right time often becomes a way to avoid responsibility or confrontation, but the time is now. The urgency that surrounds us calls for boldness, a willingness to embrace imperfection and trust that the way will be made clear as we walk it. This willingness to rise without perfect conditions requires a deep well of faith and resilience. It demands that we lean into uncertainty and find strength in the very act of obedience. It means accepting that setbacks and challenges are part of the journey, not reasons to turn back. The moment we begin to act, even in small ways, momentum is created and doors begin to open. Waiting for perfection, however, can freeze us in place, allowing fear and doubt to grow unchecked. To rise now is to reject the illusion that we must be fully equipped before stepping forward. It is to recognize that the power to change, to lead, and to make a difference often comes through action itself, through faith in the face of imperfection and the courage to move despite unknowns. Faith and courage become our anchors in times of trial, especially when the path ahead is uncertain and the challenges loom large. Without these two qualities, the weight of fear and doubt can easily overwhelm, leaving us paralyzed and unable to move forward. Faith is not merely a passive hope, but a dynamic trust that sustains us when circumstances are unclear and outcomes are unknown. It calls us to believe in what cannot yet be seen, to hold fast to promises beyond our immediate perception. Courage paired with faith gives us the strength to face difficulties head on, to stand firm when the winds of adversity blow fiercely around us. When trials come, they test not only our resolve, but the very core of our beliefs. It is easy to be faithful in times of comfort, but true faith is proven in the crucible of hardship. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite fear. Together, faith and courage create a foundation that enables us to rise even when the road is steep and the future uncertain. They empower us to move forward with confidence, knowing that our steps are guided and that we do not walk alone. This combination also calls for perseverance. The challenges we face may not be overcome quickly or easily. There will be moments of struggle, disappointment, and setback, but faith keeps our eyes fixed on the greater purpose, and courage pushes us to keep going even when the way seems blocked. It is a call to resilience, a refusal to be defeated by circumstances. Faith and courage also inspire those around us. When we rise with these qualities, we become beacons of hope and strength for others who may be faltering. Our willingness to stand firm encourages a community of believers to rise alongside us, creating a collective force capable of meeting whatever trials come our way. Even the smallest acts of faith carry within them the power to ignite change far beyond what we can immediately see. Often, we underestimate the significance of humble beginnings, thinking that only grand gestures or sweeping movements can make a difference. Yet history and Scripture alike reveal a different truth. The smallest flame can spark a great fire, and the tiniest seed can grow into a mighty tree. It is in the seemingly insignificant steps of faith, quiet prayers, simple acts of kindness, steadfast obedience, that transformation begins. This reality calls us to recognize that our contributions matter, no matter how small or inconsequential they may seem at the moment. Every act of faith is like a drop of water falling into a still pond. The ripples extend outward, touching lives and circumstances in ways we cannot predict or control. The power of faith is often hidden at first, but it has the capacity to break through barriers, inspire others, and set in motion events that shape the future. When faced with overwhelming challenges, it is easy to feel that our efforts are too little to matter. But the smallest acts of faith serve as a declaration that we refuse to be passive or defeated. They are acts of defiance against despair and hopelessness. Through these actions, we align ourselves with a greater purpose and invite divine power to work through us. Faith also grows through action. Each step taken in faith, no matter how small, strengthens our trust and emboldens us to take the next. It is a chain reaction where one act leads to another, building momentum and cultivating a spirit of perseverance. This is how mighty movements begin, not with loud proclamations or grand plans, but with simple, faithful obedience to the call placed upon our lives. The window of opportunity is closing quickly, and with each passing moment, the chances to act grow fewer and more precious. This fleeting opportunity demands awareness and urgency, for time does not wait, and circumstances do not pause for preparation. Often, we assume there will always be another chance, another day to make things right, another moment to answer the call. But the truth is, some moments are unique. Once they pass, they may never return. This closing window calls us to vigilance, to recognize the critical nature of the present, and to move decisively before the chance slips away. Opportunities often come disguised as challenges or even disruptions, making it easy to miss their significance. Yet these moments carry the potential to change the trajectory of our lives, communities, and even history itself. The closing window reminds us that waiting too long or hesitating in the face of uncertainty can result in missed blessings and irreversible consequences. It is a call to seize the moment with boldness and clarity, to act with intention rather than delay. This sense of urgency is not intended to create panic, but to inspire purposeful action. It pushes us to evaluate what truly matters and to prioritize accordingly. When the window begins to close, distractions lose their grip, and the heart focuses on what is essential. The pressure of limited time can sharpen vision and strengthen resolve, enabling us to rise above fear and indecision. To recognize that the window is closing is to acknowledge that time is a gift, one that is both limited and sacred. It challenges us to live intentionally, to make every moment count, and to embrace the responsibility that comes with awareness. The closing window is a call to courage, a summons to rise quickly and faithfully before the opportunity fades into history. History will remember those who rise in the time of crisis, because such moments reveal the true character of individuals and nations alike. When the world faces uncertainty and trials, the actions taken, or not taken, become the legacy that shapes how future generations understand that era. It is in these pivotal moments that heroes are made and destinies are fulfilled. Those who rise with courage, faith, and conviction leave a mark far beyond their own lives, influencing the course of events long after their time has passed. The memory of those who answered the call to rise serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration for those who come after. Their stories remind us that even in the darkest hours, there are those who refuse to be silent or passive. They choose to stand firm, to lead, and to act with purpose. This legacy is not reserved for the famous or the powerful alone. Often it is ordinary people, rising in extraordinary times, whose courage becomes the turning point in history. To rise in times of crisis is to embrace responsibility and to face uncertainty head-on. It is a decision to reject fear and passivity in favor of action and hope. The impact of such choices resonates through communities, shaping culture, values, and the very fabric of society. Those who rise become examples that challenge others to do the same, creating a ripple effect that can transform entire nations. History's remembrance is not merely about the deeds themselves, but the spirit behind them. The faith that sustained those who rose, the courage that propelled them forward, and the unwavering commitment to what was right. This remembrance serves as both a reward and a challenge. A reward in the honor given to those who stood tall, and a challenge to future generations to rise when the time comes for them as well.